Everybody, welcome to Cynthia's Crafting Room. I wanted to give you an update of where we're at. This is the cave for Oogie Boogie. Remember, we made this out of spray foam, and the spider webs are what we made out of the hot glue gun. And here is some spiders, which works really good with this spray foam because you can kind of stick their legs in there. And this lights up. Remember, we made the hoe for the electric. I think it turned out pretty good. And this is also one of the trees that will hold up the plexiglass. Let me set this aside. Now these are our other two trees. These will be the last two big trees. These hold up the plexiglass. So I worked them into, this one's the pumpkin. And for some reason, this one fell over several times, so I had to add some clay here to make it even. I don't know why. But as you can see, I did not keep these straight looking by the clay, the way I did the clay. That way it would more be like a real tree instead of straight up and down. This one is ready to put the limbs in and then paint. And here is the last one. This one's the Christmas tree. And as you can see again, I didn't want it straight. And again, remember, we took the brush, the wire brush, to make all the grooves in the tree to make it look more. And after it's painted and stuff, I'm going to get some felt to go over the tops of these that holds up the plexiglass so it won't be scratching up the plexiglass. That's where we're at on the trees. Now I want to show you something else. You know, I was waiting on the barrels to come in for the toxic bog. And this is one of the crates. Now I want to show you what we have here. This is a chest that I did out of styrofoam because the chest was kind of small, treasure chest. So I did it in styrofoam and covered in clay and used the clay tool to make all the lines. It's not the prettiest chest in the world, but I made a mold of it. This is the mold. This is my first time to ever do this. And one thing I'll tell you, you need to read all of the instructions first. Okay, this is what I used. From Woodland Scenic. And it is, I don't know if you can see that. It's ready to be used. And what you start out doing, since I've never done this before, I wanted to do it before I talk to you about it. You get your brush, get you a little brush, and make sure in the beginning you brush into all these little grooves that you want to work out. And you put about 5 or 6 coats on this. Let it dry. It takes several hours for it to dry. And then after you get several coats on there, like I said, 5 or 6, then you need to do this on a piece of glass too, by the way, because it removes easier. But this is what it looks like. Now, it took me a week to do this, but it took me a week to do it because I work graveyard. So I would just put in a coat when I got home from work and put on a coat before I went to work. So that way it was ready for me on the Friday. Now, after you put on the first 5 coats, then you start making you a base right here. That is so you can pull it up. And I have me a thing of sand. A bucket of my play sand I've been using. And this is what the molds look like when they get undone. You can see I've already used this one. You put it down in the sand so that way it holds its shape. And then you mix up your... There are other things you can use, but this is what I used. And it doesn't take very much of this. And the thing about this, it takes longer to make the mold. It only takes an hour after you pour this in here. And here is the chest. Let's see. You have to be real careful when you take it out. We're fixing to see. But anyway, the one thing, you read all your instructions first. I didn't get far enough. So it says you need to sprinkle these with water before you put the paraffin in there so that it will come undone easier in the grooves. Okay, and I did not do that because I did not read the directions all the way through. And gauze. I just got me some gauze. You can get some different gauzes. I just had at home. And after I started putting the circle on, I just went over like this with the gauze because it makes it stronger. I did that once this way and once across this way. And this is how easy it comes off the glass. See how easy that was? And then you just kind of have to start pulling it away. And as you can see, I went over too far with the gauze on this one. See the grooves? And then this is the barrel that I made. And this one, I know I went over on this one, so. Let's get my knife. You want to be careful when you do this so you don't mess up your mold. I knew I went over too far on this one when I did it. Because it's kind of hard when you first start doing it because you're holding it. And like I said, this is my first time to do this too, so. The rest of them hadn't been this hard to get out. Beginner mistakes. See? If I had read all the directions and sprayed this with water, I wouldn't be having all of this trouble. You can't even tell this is round. It looks more square than round. And with this one, I made the barrel open, so it's probably going to be harder to get out. Well, you can see it in those grooves real good. There's my whiskey barrel I made out of styrofoam and clay. And this is what the inside looks like. There we go. So we'll see what it looks like after we make several of these. Okay, that's where we're at, guys. It looks like I will be putting the limbs on the trees today. Use a drill to make the hose, and then hot glue with our Woodland Scenics armatures, which twist so you can shape them and gives them that different shape. Okay, we'll catch you in a few.